Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Brian Carlson, and today I'll be recording 4 short videos all about APA format and style. The first video that I'm going to play for you is APA formatting. So we'll talk about the order of pages, different types of papers that came out with a new edition of the APA publication manual, some changes in addition to fonts and spacings, and how subheadings can be your friend. So this video is all about APA formatting. The next video, all about APA style. The next one about citations and references, and the last one about kind of writing tips and tricks for flow and organization. So anyway, hopefully you get a lot out of these and you click on the video that's most relevant to you. So without further ado, let's jump right in and talk about APA formatting. So first of all, there's a new 7th edition. So if you have a blue version like this, stop using it. There are major changes that if you use the 6th edition, this blue copy right here, it's going to be marked wrong. What you want to do is switch over to this new 7th edition that has these cool rainbow colors and tabs and a spiral corner. You can pull up a copy in the library for free if you want to check it out for a little bit. The 7th edition is also available on Amazon for 30 bucks. So what you might be wondering is when you're formatting your paper, what order does all this stuff go in? So in any type of paper, the very first page is going to be your title page. And then on the second page, by hitting Control Enter, it'll automatically jump you to page number 2. Rookie mistake is hitting that Enter button over and over and over again. Stop doing that, because whenever you hit that Enter button over and over and over again, it records all those Enter keys. So if you go back and edit something earlier in the document, it throws off the formatting throughout. So anyway, if after you're done with that title page, if you hit the Control Enter button, it'll automatically jump you to that second page. And on that second page is where you'll have an abstract. Each journal is a little bit different, but for the most, they're around 200 words or so, no more than 250. And keep in mind that the abstract isn't indented. It just has abstract in bold on the top and then goes right into the text. I'll show you pictures of that in a second. So after you're done with the abstract, Control or Command Enter and jump to page 3. And that's when you start writing the text, the body of the paper, the intro, method, results, discussions, things like that. We jump into it. After you're done writing the paper, brand new page, you'll start the references. And in our 3rd video, it's all about how to format references. After the references, you might have footnotes. Most of your papers won't have footnotes, but if you feel like there's a little add-on that you want to include just as like a quick aside, a footnote is a nice way to add a little supplementary caveat, explanation to a previous point. After that, Control Enter on a new page, you'll include your tables. APA 7th edition does allow you to include tables within the text, but it gets a little choppy. So the simplest way is to, again, follow the 6th edition and include the tables after the footnotes and the references. If you have figures, like your bar graphs and things like that, they would go after the tables. And if you have any appendices, like in a master's thesis or something like that, you would include those at the very end. So the biggest change, there are 2 different types of research papers in the 7th edition. The first one is your kind of student paper, which is that like response paper, the paper that like 99% of your classes will ask for. Just a quick what are your thoughts on this? You aren't submitting it for publication anywhere. It's more just like for the purposes of a class activity. So this is what the APA 7th edition refers to as student papers. And here's a picture over here of what those look like. And what you'll see is on the title page, it looks different than the 6th edition. Some of the things that you'll notice is the title is bolded. Still in the center of the page over here, title is bolded, double space, kind of line gap, and you'll see this kind of gap in between your name. So since this is a student paper, you'll be the only author on it, but if it's a collaborative kind of group project, you would have multiple authors on it. On the line below that, you would have the affiliation. So new to the 7th edition is where you'll include both of the department, in this case, Department of Psychology, as well as the university, in this case, Azusa Pacific University. And because this is a student paper, on the line below that, you'll now include the course number and name. So like Psych 320 Social Psychology, for instance. The line after that, you'll include the instructor name. So doctor, professor, whatever the appropriate title is, and then your instructor's name. And then the line below that is the assignment due date. Not the day that you submitted it, but when the paper was due. And you'll notice some things are a little bit different. What you'll see is it still has the running page number in the top right. You can access that by kind of double clicking in the header, insert page number. So it automatically, for every page you add, it automatically updates. That's still the same, but notice here on student papers, it's blank over here. There's nothing in the top left. There's no running head. The running head is only for professional papers. So the second type of paper is if you were submitting it for publication. Your master's thesis, for instance, would probably be a professional paper layout like this. And if you're unsure what type of paper your assignment should be, feel free to ask your professor. Do you want a student paper or do you want a professional paper? And the biggest differences here is in the top left is you're going to have this kind of running head. In the 6th edition, it used to say the word, capital R, running head, colon, and then in all caps, this running head. Notice now it doesn't say the word running head anymore. It literally just jumps into all caps. What is your short kind of abbreviated title in 50 characters or less? Still has the page number, still has the title, double space, line gap, followed by the author's information, author's affiliation, author note. Let's see here, below that, your name, the department that you're from, and if you're collaborating with people from different universities, then you would specify each one of their contact informations. But something that's different about the professional paper as compared to the student paper, down here at the bottom, you see where it says author note. This is your way of saying, if you want extra correspondence, if you want to reach out and talk about this paper, here's who I am. This is my email, this is my phone number, this is the best way to kind of get a hold of me. This is what you'll see at the in journal articles that you read. On the bottom of that first page, it says like, for more information, contact the author at this university, this department, this email. This is where you would include that kind of author note information. Yeah, and in professional papers, it has the running head, but it literally doesn't say the word running head anymore. So that's a big difference, right? In APA 7th edition, you now have 2 different types of papers and their title pages look a little bit different. In the student paper, it's going to go from that title page probably right into the intro, right into the bulk of the text. In your professional paper, it's probably going to be a research study, so you're probably going to go from the title page to an abstract, then to the body of the text. But if you aren't sure, ask your professor what exactly they want included in that research paper. Another major change from the 6th edition of the APA style manual to the 7th edition is you now have options for font. A variety of fonts are acceptable. Remember in the 6th edition, it was Times New Roman, 12-point font, that was it. Now you have a few options of serif fonts and sans serif fonts. So in these sans serif fonts, they don't have the kind of sharp points at the end, and these include Calibri and Arial. You see how they're a little smoother at the edge of their letters. And these, it's fine to use 11-point Calibri or 11-point Arial, which is nice because that's the default in Word and the default in a Google Doc when you're writing these manuscripts. Personally, I like the serif fonts. I'm a purist. I still like that 12-point Times New Roman. Notice the kind of sharp edges on the edge of these letters in Times New Roman and Georgia. But at least now you have some options on whether you want to go with Calibri, Arial, Times New Roman, Georgia. It's up to you. Don't let your instructor mark you off for it. APA Publication Manual, 7th edition, allows for a variety of fonts, and us in the psychology department has specified as these are the 4 that we are really comfortable with you guys using. Some other general information about the kind of formatting of the paper is spacing, right? You want double spacing throughout. So you're probably wondering why there's pictures of twins here. twin men holding their twin babies. Um, think of that as double, right? You want double spacing throughout your entire manuscript. And the best way to do that is just highlight everything in your manuscript and then check the spacing and make sure that it says line spacing double automatically. And you see over here where it says before and after. This is referring to like before a paragraph and after a paragraph. Do you want any extra spaces in there? And what you want to do is click the bottom arrow and make sure that says 0. Say, nope, I don't want any extra spaces. I want it just to be double throughout. And some computers don't have 0 point as the default, which is frustrating when you do your paper and your instructor starts circling things saying like, remove this extra space. It's like, well, I didn't add it. The computer's adding it by default. So this is the way that you're gonna make sure that you have double space margin, double space text throughout your entire manuscript. And make sure that you have 1-inch margins. I believe that's the default, but you can always play with that just to make sure that it really is 1-inch margins throughout your paper. It's tempting to be, to think, hey, I can add a few more spaces here. I can increase the margins. I'll hit that word or hit that page count. Your professors have seen thousands of these papers before. They're really attuned to things like this. So don't try and make your paper appear longer. In fact, a lot of your instructors are switching to kind of word counts for papers rather than page counts, just so people don't get caught up on counting pages as much. The last part of APA formatting, which is really, really cool, is subheadings. And you're probably wondering, why are subheadings so cool? Like, it's the weirdest thing to be cool. Subheadings are a way for you to help organize your paper. So whoever's reading it knows, hey, exactly what's going to be in each section. And if they want to jump around, they know exactly where to look to find information. Subheadings are also really important for you when you're reading other people's research, because it's this kind of roadmap. It lets you know, hey, I don't have to read this entire paper. If I know to go to this section, I can get this important information from it. So in papers, whether it's an empirical research paper or just a lit review, you can use subheadings. The common subheadings would be like your method, results, discussion as those kind of big, what they call first level subheadings, like your intro, your method, your results, discussion. And what you see for those first level subheadings, they're centered, bold, and each letter starting each word is capitalized, right? The main kind of first level. We can add headings within a subheading. So what we can do is within, let's say, the first level subheading of your method, we can have multiple sections within there, right? We can talk about the participants, the materials, the procedure. Those are all second level subheadings within the first level subheading of the method section. So for those second level subheadings, like participants, materials, procedures, notice that it's still bold, but now it's moved all the way to the left, bold, title case, the same way. If you want, let's say you want to add, like really Inception-like, and add a subheading within a subheading, what you could do is, let's say you had your method section, you had your participants, your materials, and you had like 3 different materials. You had like 3 different scales that you want to talk about. You could make each of those scales a third level subheading and talk about the Beck's depression inventory and the Rosenberg self-esteem scale, all those things. Now notice that they're italicized, still bolded, still flush left, still a title case, but now it's italicized. If you wanted to have a 4th level subheading, which now we're just getting crazy, right? You could have extra subheadings if you wanted to talk about the validity and the reliability within the Rosenberg scale, within the material section, within the measure section. Like, you could do it, but then you're turning into Leonardo DiCaprio from the movie Inception. So you can do it. It's a really cool way to help organize your paper, and it's a really great writing trick. And if this is a lot of information, don't freak out. You should have that APA publication manual, 7th edition, to look at. It has all these example papers as well. And if you don't have a hard copy in front of you, you can always go online to apastyle.apa.org, and they have all this information as well. It's not in a cool video like this, but still, it's really useful. And they also have example papers online. And this is helpful to kind of look through at the very end and say, does my paper look, right? Is it formatted the exact same way as these example papers are online? So that's it for APA formatting. I hope you stick around for the next few videos about APA style and so on. But if that was it, good luck writing your paper.